Today, at roughly 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was visited by beings from beyond. True fact. True fact. I was visited by an alien of a sort. And I thought, the government and the media must know about these aliens, these beings from beyond. And they are just hiding the facts from us. So, me being the upstanding citizen and friend of yours that I am, I'm going to tell you about my alien encounter, just in case you are to have a similar one. You'll know exactly what to expect and what to do. So, I will start off by saying these aliens are not from space, they are not extraterrestrial, they are from this very planet. And they look just like you or I, almost the same, humans. However, they are not exactly like us. I am of course talking about the illegal aliens, our good friends the Muslims. And the reason I thought this was worth reporting to you is because this particular Muslim, although I have never seen him in my life and don't wish to know him, he knew my name first and last, my address, and when I would be in, and took the liberty of ringing on my doorbell, dressed as a fake police officer, although I knew it wasn't a real one because they don't wear the silly Arab dresses and look like a scruffy street bum begging, which this guy did. And I thought, what's this? I can see him through my doorbell camera. So I shall describe how he looked. He had the kind of Muslim man dress thing on, black trainers, possibly Adidas, and no hat, scruffy beard, scruffy hair, and a big badge emblazoned on the front of his chest, almost like one of those rectangular badges that usually says police or a security guard or something on the front, and he was wearing a viz jacket. So from a distance you might think this is a police officer or a security guard or some kind of official agent, and he had a lanyard on and looked absolutely normal until you get a closer look at the details. On the badge says Dawah agent, Sharia agent, and some Muslim writing of which I couldn't read. Now obviously I didn't answer my door to this weird, possibly criminal, potentially violent creep who shouldn't be knocking at my door or even know where I live. And to make it worse, after I made it clear I wasn't going to answer by hanging up the phone without saying anything, you know, it's a video doorbell with a phone, he decided he was going to try all my neighbours, ringing all their doorbells to try and get in anyway, despite the fact that I made it clear I don't want you on my property. That did not deter him one bit. Fortunately for me, my neighbours and I are on good terms, and they are not as stupid as he would require them to be, so they didn't answer the door to him either. And the team of this block sent him packing, but I'm sure he will return. And I think I'm going to have to let him in next time and see what this chap has to say. But isn't that a thing? In a day where the only thing that politicians seem to care about is religious tact and diversity, he is allowed to turn up as brazen as you'd like, wearing a bloody viz jacket, you look like a flipping traffic cone with a beard, turns up at my door in the middle of the day, and when he couldn't get entry via my doorbell, decided he was going to try his luck with everybody else's. Now, keep in mind, ladies, gents and Pikachus, this is the important bit. How much trouble would I be in if I dressed up like a bloody vicar, put a big badge on the front saying Christian conversion squads, and went around knocking on the doors of Muslims? And then when they didn't answer, knocked on the garage, on the window, tried to get someone else's attention to try and swindle my way through, in order that I can preach to him. Can you imagine how much of a fuss that would have kicked up? Not to mention I'd be putting myself in serious violence danger, because we know these guys don't behave like us. You know, they can't just have a conversation. If you say or do the wrong thing, if you upset them with some hurty words, they are likely to try and kill you, if not just beat you up a little bit. And they have no qualms about attacking in gangs, even if you happen to be underage or female. Unlike us, they don't have that level of tact and diplomatic decorum, that level of general decency that we would have if we were doing the same. Which, by the way, we are not. There are laws in place now, put there by this Labour government. Starmer and his little commie goons have made sure that street preaching, even silent prayer, is now possibly going to land you a criminal penalty. So, why is it okay for him to knock on my door, knowing full well who I am, because he knew my name? God knows how he knew my name. He shouldn't know my name. I've never given it to him. How is it okay for him to find my name and address and come seeking me for the purposes of Dawah, preaching his evil satanic religion, when I am a Christian and I'm not interested? And I made that clear. How is that okay? When we know if I was to do the same, it would not be okay. Surely that is racist, isn't it? If they're going to say it's racist to say I don't like Islamic ideals, I think Islam is the religion of Satan, Islam is a problem for this country that we should try to get rid of. If it's racist for me to even suggest those things, then surely, if diversity is equally applied and fair, like they claim it is, and not just a communist scam, then what he did is highly racist also. But he's here in an official capacity with a silly little lanyard on. So that's the first indication we get that these guys are stepping up their game. The campaign to take Britain over and convert it into a Sharia dumpster fire is now a stage further than it was a few months ago. That's what you call a targeted sale. He has obviously been given the heads up that a Christian who works for freedom and democracy to protect the nation of Britain and work the ideals of its naturalised natives lives here, and he can win extra points with Allah for preaching his nonsense in my ear at my doorstep, despite the fact that he knows as well as anyone else it would be falling upon deaf ears and a major inconvenience, if not a huge offence. He knows that. He absolutely knows that. So, if you are to experience this horrible sight for yourself and be attacked by these guys at your door, that's what that was. That was a passive-aggressive attack. That was a wink and a nudge, wasn't it? That was aggression in the form of a friendly conversation. That guy fucking knows. I am the last person on earth who's going to bow the knee to Satan, whether he's called Allah and wearing a veil or not, whether he has any control over this place or not. Even if he was God, I would tell him to get absolutely fucked, based on his Quran. So I am not going to be converted by some scruffy-looking Dawah muppet, even if he knows my name. But if you see these guys, absolutely capture every single interaction that you have with them on camera. Don't let them through your door. Make sure they remain outside. But don't show them any fear, and certainly don't turn your back. So what I'm going to do next time, I'm going to buzz the guy in without a word. I'm going to answer my door. No mask, no bullshit, just with a camera behind me. And I'll probably attach one to my lapel in case he tries anything. And I'm just going to stare into his eyes in silence and see what he has to say for himself. Because, as far as I'm aware, inside of my foyer is my private property. It's not a public area. So that means I am allowed to make that video and place it on the internet. Which is exactly what I will do if this little chap comes back. Because whether he pretends that he's here on a mission of mercy, now that I've read the Quran of the Muslims probably more rigorously and studiously than he has, almost certainly more than he has, I know exactly what that little goblin is up to. His little nefarious evil plans, and why he specifically chose me to visit, and then carried on pressing all the other buttons to try and force his way in. It's because of his mission of Dawah. Now, one thing you have to understand about Dawah, the first thing you have to understand is Muslims will tell you many lies about the function and purpose of Dawah, why they do Dawah, and what the real mission of Dawah represents in terms of you, in terms of me, in terms of British people in our own country, Britain. Dawah is not for the purposes of bringing you a fantastic new religion that will revolutionise and modernise your existence and bring you joy and salvation, which is what they will tell you it is. They couldn't care less about you or your views. The reason they do Dawah is as a service to Allah, as part of their responsibility as a slave. of Allah. You know, because of their al-Fatiha prayer, they have promised Allah as a slave. They will do his bidding, his little dirty work. And that is the reason they're at my door at 2 o'clock this afternoon, trying and failing to preach this silly satanic religion to me. But it wasn't for my benefit at all. In fact, it would have been a hindrance to me, being as I'm a Christian, and I think Islam is an evil religion, and I regularly speak about the evil things that the adherents of this evil satanic cult inflict upon us good people. Such as the attack in London earlier, in which an innocent 26-year-old woman, walking her 3 small girls back towards a school, was hit by a speeding black van, piloted by an inebriated Muslim. She unfortunately died of her injuries on the scene. The 3 children were taken to hospital in an ambulance called for by a bystander, a white British person, and he was later apprehended by police. But you know what they said? This is definitely not terrorism related, it's just another isolated incident. Definitely no wrongdoing. Despite the fact that one innocent lady is now laying dead and her children are without their mother, and the fact that this black van was travelling down a one-way street in the opposite direction at high speed between 40 and 60 miles per hour, over speed bumps meant to restrict the speed of the one-way lane to 15 miles an hour at most, probably more like 5. So he was definitely doing this on purpose, and he mounted the pavement. He was quite able to accurately drive his van down the wrong way, over speed bumps, mount the curb, and aim directly for this woman and her 3 children she was walking with, and successfully mow her down like a merciless killer and murder this poor woman. Allegedly, I have to say, because obviously this just happened today, allegedly, but we all know what that means, right? So, back on point. Dawah, while the background of alleged terrorist attacks on Ramavan is going on, that's what we're going to call it now, Ramavan, because it seems to be a lot of these van-type murders going around this month. This is the 4th one this year, actually. That is what we need to keep in mind when these tricksters, these deceitful, evil cultists, are trying to ply their wares and sell us the idea that we should bow to only Allah, that we should give up our free, democratic, peaceful society and give it over to these guys. Despite the fact that if we look back to their home nations that they came here from, like Gaza, like Iraq, Iran and Syria and Lebanon, unlike us, they do not have that freedom. They do not have religious freedom. They do not respect thoughts or feelings of free people. You can't even say Jesus. You can't even say that you worship Jesus. You cannot thank the Lord Jesus if you are in an Islamic country, because there is laws against it. And how they enforce these laws is they snitch on each other, reminiscent of 1970s Soviet Russia, in which every family of 5 had at least 3 Soviet spies working in there, and they would regularly snitch on one another, leading to their deaths. That is their culture. More similar to Soviet communism than it is a liberal British democracy. So just remember that when they are trying to peddle you this evil Dawah nonsense, this absolute rubbish, even if it's at your door in an official capacity, they are doing a service to Allah, and another service to Allah which they have promised to do as his slave is fight the jihad. Now, as we know, if we read his Quran, the Quran of the Muslims, the Arabic one, because this is kind of reworded in the English version so it doesn't sound quite so bad, you might miss it from the sophistry of the language used. The main goal of the jihad is the overthrow of all enemy nations and peoples. This is explicitly written in their scripture. That's their God telling them, this is what you do, slave, off you go. And that means us, along with everybody else who is not an Arab Muslim. That is the quest of the Dawah Muslim, to try and subversively, deceitfully trick you into agreeing to roll over and take what's coming to you, which is domination by the sword if these guys have anything to do with it. So, in conclusion, let us make sure that they do not have anything to do with it, that we remain in control of the borders of our own country, and especially our own houses, that we know what these guys are up to, and that they mean us harm, and conduct ourselves in the correct way when we are repulsing them, which is exactly what we should be doing. And if we do that, and other people see that, maybe there is hope for us all, because you know what else occurred to me as I watched this guy walk away down the road? Not only did my neighbours and I see that, and everyone down my road see that, because this guy is walking around clear as day in a big bright yellow viz jacket with a big Arabic sign that says Dawah agent on the front. Any other Muslims that live round here who are thinking of getting away from the cult are going to be highly intimidated by the fact that Sharia now has open police officers that aren't really police, they're Sharia agents, brazenly as you like, walking around preaching, offering a threat to anyone who doesn't worship Allah or follow Allah's stupid book of rules. How would you feel if that was you? If you were thinking about maybe integrating into this country and following this country's laws like you promised when you got here if you're an immigrant Muslim, then you see one of those guys stalking about. Surely that's what they came here to get away from. Government morality police stalking them with a threat of violence if they don't do exactly what they're told, or if they dare to think outside of the box they have been placed in. That's a direct threat to our freedom and our free speech, and then we can say also it's a threat to the other Muslims. Ladies, gents and Pikachus, what we need to realise is that is a military campaign that we're looking at there. Now, I can't in good faith say it's definitely connected to the various van driver related road traffic accidents resulting in innocent white ladies dying. I don't know whether those two things are connected, but you know what? They probably bloody well are, and I think they are, and I think the evidence of the Quran would support that view. So, be on your toes, keep your eyes open, know what these guys are for, know what they're about. They're not there to do you a favour, they're not even there to do themselves a favour. They are slaves of Allah, who is Satan, and they are pushing the evil satanic religion so that they can win points and avoid the evil fire, damnation, when Allah destroys their soul for not being quite active enough as his slave. That's what that guy was doing. And in doing so, absolutely showing the biggest disrespect ever to our peaceful, friendly, generous liberal democracy that allowed guys such as that to come here and have the freedom that they don't even get in their own home nations. Let's not forget, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Syria, Libya, these countries where Islam is the generally accepted religion, they don't even allow them to do that there. And like with Ramadan, they are not allowed to preach it in public, they are not allowed to offer people food or restrict the giving of food in public, even in their own countries. But here, because of our communist, Starmer-led Labour crapshoot of a government, these guys get more freedom than they do in their own country, certainly more freedom than we have. And that brings me on to my ending point, now that we've dealt with the horrible death of that poor innocent woman and the possible alleged terrorist link to the religion of peace. My second point is this: we have to start taking responsibility for openly dissenting and resisting these guys and the spread of this evil religion. When they can walk about as brazenly as that, without a care, not even looking over their shoulder, they don't give a damn, and think it's okay, laughing and joking with each other as they meet up in teams, and we're too scared to even criticise them in public, or make videos and speak against them. We're too scared to be proud of our own values and live peacefully in our own ways, with our own traditions, while they are out there doing that. And it is not acceptable, ladies, gents and Pikachus. It's not acceptable for them or for us to allow it. So, the conclusion, the final thought. Here's what we will do. Hit me up in the comments, just drop me one word, or if you don't want to make it public, find my Discord link, connect with me on Discord. We will form a party of our own, of good, moral citizens, normal British people, and we will champion the rights and the values and the traditions of this country. And between us, we can actually do something positive to remove the influence of these violent, psychotic, narcissistic cultists with bad intentions who allegedly are the source of fear for even other Muslims. They are forcing other Muslims to follow this tripe, this evil religion, and their goal is to interrupt our day, invade our property, and convince us through hook or by crook, deceitful means, tachia, to turn our backs on everything that made this country great in the first place, and accept the drivel that chased them out of their country. Because we know, we can see how their countries are doing. They're doing terribly. They're always at war. All their neighbours hate them. They're banned from entering and staying in most countries. The only reason they're allowed in is to travel through so that they can come here and claim asylum, despite there is no threat to their life in any of the countries they travelled through. And they could quite as happily have settled there: France, Germany, Sweden, Belgium, Canada, Australia, even Lebanon and Syria. Any of these countries they could settle in. Well, not Syria. Syria's fucked around and found out, hasn't it? They're having to deal with a military campaign themselves now for not being able to behave and be peaceful. But these guys don't have that. So that means they are targeting us because we are a soft touch. They know we're going to roll over and not complain. And our government know they can rely on the block vote of the Islamic community, provided they allow them to do this and stop us in our tracks. So we have to stop that now and put our foot down and say, no, enough is enough. We are the British. This is Britain. This is our country. We were born here, our families live here, and our children will own here, and it will become their nation. And we want to retain our freedom, to think, to speak, and to worship as we want, and to not have to put up with any threat of violence or interruptions or crimes committed against us, alleged or otherwise, from these fucking rapists and murderers, these jihadi terrorists, and their quote-unquote friendly Muslim associates. It is not on. So, like I say, if you're interested in defending this country and righting the wrongs of the previous Labour government and the current communist government of Labour stooges, then let's get our heads together, strategise, and let's get started, because this country deserves better, and we deserve better. But we know nobody else is going to do this for us. We have to be the ones that bring this change, save this country, and retake this great nation and give it back to its rightful owners. You, your family, and me. So let's get it done, ladies, gents, and Pikachus. You know where to find me. Hit me up on Discord in the comments. Share this video to anyone you know who is British, specifically English as well. But anyone British, anyone who is living here with a passport, who cares about British values. Show them this video and introduce them to me. And in a few short months we can turn this ship around and see some positive results, some action, and get this country back where it belongs, in our hands, where it will be celebrated once again for being a free, peaceful, prosperous, liberal democracy with a future that we can all enjoy. So, a bit of a long one today, apologies for that, but hope you enjoyed that. That's the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe, but don't give me any money. This is a free service done in the name of our Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ, and our beautiful liberal democracy. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.